This story comes from u/4th Degree Knight, posted on r/paranormal. Back in the late 1990s, I used to supervise a crew doing trauma scene work. We would go into buildings after homicides, suicides, unattended deaths, accidental deaths, fire deaths, pretty much any messed up thing that could happen inside a building, home, or office. The following story happened on one of those scenes. I have a few others that have really stuck with me, but this one felt like more the work of evil spirits than the others, which were just sad. We often got dispatched with very little detail. Sometimes it was just vehicle damage to structure with fatality, or fire damage, multiple fatalities. Sometimes it was as vague as death inside home. We were dispatched to a single-family house on the outskirts of Los Angeles, a working-class neighborhood, homes built probably in the early 1950s. Not a bad or run-down section, just a quiet, unassuming area where families lived. We arrived to a ranch-style home with a sweeping driveway out to the street. The garage door was open, and an older lady was sitting inside the garage, smoking. I walked up to her, introduced myself, and told her I was sorry for her loss. I said we were there to help clean up and do whatever we could for her. I could tell she was nervous. In most of these situations, you run into people crying, in shock, or just stone quiet and unable to speak. Most of the time, they have someone with them, a family friend, a neighbor, somebody. But she was all alone. She looked very uneasy. I noticed she had a sofa, a TV on a stand, and clothes piled up in the garage. She was living out there. I asked if she would like to show me the area where the incident occurred. She said, "I'm not going back in that house." Then she pointed to a front bedroom window and said, "That's the room." I didn't know what had happened there. As usual, I hadn't been given many details. Not that I always needed to know, but sometimes it helped, knowing whether we were dealing with a murder, a suicide, a child death. I asked her if there was anything in that room she'd want us to save or secure for her. She said she didn't care about anything in that house and she was not going back inside. I figured that was pretty typical. Nobody likes to go back inside where a loved one was lost. Then she started telling me a story that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. She said her son had killed himself in that room. She said there were evil spirits in that house. I just told her I was sorry. She said, "No, you don't understand." She told me that a year before, her other son had killed himself inside the house too. The demons attacked him and took him too. And a few years before that, her husband had killed himself in the house as well. In all the people I've met in situations where loved ones were lost, you get a sense of grief and sometimes mental illness. I did not get mental illness from her. What I got was a poor woman who was scared out of her mind. I asked if she wanted me to call anyone for her. She said a family member or a friend was coming to take her away. I can't remember exactly what she said. I asked her to sign our paperwork and asked if there was anything she wouldn't want us to dispose of. She said, "You can just burn this place down for all I care." I gathered my crew and we suited up to go inside. The room was a smaller bedroom, blue painted walls, a little on the messy side. There was a pool of blood at the foot of the bed, vomit on the bed, and on one side of the room, the entire wall was written in blood. We could only make out some of the words. It almost didn't seem like it was in English. We later found out from a neighbor that the son, an adult, had drunk acid, then slit his throat and died sitting on the bed. We cut out the carpet, wrapped the mattress, and cleaned the room until there were no traces left of what had happened there. By the time we finished, the old lady had taken off. We locked up the house and left. The thing is, we were in that house for a few hours, and the feeling inside was like being in a cave. The air was thick. The smell was more than stale. It was pungent and foul in a way that went beyond what we were used to. We all felt like we wanted to get out of there in a hurry. The way that woman was too scared to go back inside, the fact that the house had taken her husband and then both of her sons. I had not been a huge believer in evil lingering inside a place until that day, but I honestly felt it in there, and I still remember it today. That's all for tonight. Thanks for being here. If you have a story of your own, leave it in the comments. Names are always changed. Hit subscribe and the bell so you don't miss next week's. Stay safe out there.